Now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
It's 5:06 on this Monday morning in the nation's capital. It's O'Connor and Company. Thanks for joining us. Happy Martin Luther King Day. Happy Snow Day, as we are expecting some snow, as you just heard. It's exciting. Happy Iowa Caucus Day.
That's right.
And speaking of weather, happy Hell Freezes Over Day, because the Detroit Lions won a playoff game yesterday.
Ooh.
All that and more coming up this morning. It's Larry O'Connor alongside Julie Gunlock.
Good morning.
Good morning, Julie. At 6:35, Dr. Jennifer London's going to join us. She, of course, the author of that book, Profiles in Character, we've talked about before. She dedicates a chapter to Martin Luther King. She'll talk about it. 7:05, Joe DeGeneva. 7:35, our man in Iowa, Brian Wilson. Familiar voice to longtime listeners to mornings here on WMAL. Brian Wilson is covering the Iowa caucus for his station in Nashville. And then at 8:35, Dr. Marty McCary on the return of the mask. Have you seen the masks, Julie? Have you seen people wearing masks?
Where do you think I live?
That's right, at Alexandria. They never took them off in Alexandria.
Right.
Meredith, I don't think I've revealed this on the air, but Meredith took a tumble about 6 weeks ago, I think it was. I don't know. It feels like 6 weeks ago. And she severely no, it's 2 months ago, actually. Good Lord, what's wrong with me? It was like Thanksgiving weekend. And she did some pretty severe damage to some ligaments in her ankle. Anyway, long story short, we've been going to a lot of doctor's appointments together. And this past week in Maryland, every doctor's appointment we went to, and every specialist, every physical therapy, suddenly everybody's wearing masks.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's wearing masks. But if you add, and here's the thing, the people who wear the masks at the local grocery store while they're hacking up along over the produce section, they're wearing it because they think they're protecting themselves from COVID and the MAGA virus or whatever. Most medical professionals that you talk to, as we did, these doctors say, what's going on? Is this for a new COVID variant or anything? And they roll their eyes and they laugh and they say, no, it's cold and flu. Everybody's getting the cold and flu, and that's but what it's about. But of course, as that stand-up comedian, I can't remember his name right now. I saw him on Instagram. Stand-up comedian says to one of the people in his audience who's wearing a mask in the front row, and he looks down at her and he says, "What are you wearing that for? Are you sick? Or you just want everyone to know who you're voting for?"
Exactly. Yeah.
That's what most of the masks
It is
are
complete virtue signaling. What I love is going to the grocery store, of course, like one of the more expensive grocery stores in Alexandria.
Yes.
And you see people wearing masks in the store, but it's the traffic outside, people loading their groceries into the car with a mask on.
Right, all by themselves,
Yes.
Loading it in before it goes into
exactly.
their trunk. Yeah. It's, well, they've got an election to win. Let's see what happens. So we do have that. And we have Martin Luther King Day. Your children are free from any school obligations today?
Sadly, yes.
That is nice. That is nice. There will be children around, and they're going to get a snow day today. So here's how kids. I was talking to some kids over the weekend, actually, about here's their plan. This is how they're going to parlay this, and this is what they're praying for. They got the Martin Luther King Day today. They want snow today, which they're going to get, so they can play in snow. And then the key here is overnight tonight.
Yes.
They want a new round of snow.
Yes.
So when the school officials wake up in the morning and they don't see their shadow, they cancel school on Tuesday. They're trying to parlay a 4-day weekend out of this.
Yes. And then
That's
my
the plan.
kids are hoping for some freezing rain on Wednesday.
On Wednesday. And by the way, we might have some snow in the forecast coming up on Friday as well, launching into the weekend. Coming into Saturday and Sunday, it's going to be super cold. Sunny, but it's going to be. So if we do get snow today and it lasts until Friday and we get another round of snow on Friday, this snow might stick around. You may finally get your wish, Julie. Stop with the squeal of delight. We may get some snow coming at us like during the show today, although probably a little later.
There was snow on the ground when I got up. There's snow on the ground right now.
In Alexandria?
Yep.
That's terrific.
I love it.
When was the last time you actually shoveled snow with all your excitement about it? Seriously, I want an answer. You don't recall.
I'm inside making soup and chili and drinking.
And drinking. And sloshed. Well, so there you go. We got our snow coming. It's here. You got snow. Enjoy it. Good news is not a whole lot of people have to be driving today. But if you are, obviously, Jamie Whitten every 10 minutes on the 5s will get you suited up. Whether you're dealing with snow or not, I think we can all agree it's friggin' cold out.
Oh.
And when that wind blows, it's beyond friggin' cold. Friggin', I think, is the operative. That's the meteorological description for this weather condition. Friggin' cold.
Yes.
It's bad.
Cold.
Although, we play host to many midshipmen from the Naval Academy at the house on weekends, especially weekends like this, because they call January the dark ages, because you're back from the holidays and then you're back for a second semester, and it's just sad.
February's
and
hard
so they all did a bonfire in our front yard yesterday. Well, not like in the yard. We have a fire ring.
No, you have a sitting area.
Yeah, we have a sitting area with one of those solo stove things, and
you have a really big front yard.
We do. It's a big corner house. Was very welcoming to the neighborhood, and all of our neighbors love the fact that we've constantly got all these Navy officers in and out. So they usually come over and hang. But they were bound and determined to sit outside by a fire yesterday.
You're kidding? That's crazy.
I know. And after dinner, they were out there. It's like, well, I gotta go sit with the guys. And I was out. I lasted 5 minutes. Like, what the hell's wrong with you? And some of them are just wearing sweats. They're athletes. What can I tell you?
Oh, I've reached that point with my son where he's too cool for a coat. I was really excited. I thought I would miss that, but no.
Well, it hasn't been that cold. Let's see how he does this week. It's going to be. Did I mention friggin' cold? Because that's. But you know who's hot is the Detroit Lions.
Yes.
As I said, hell was frozen over, and the Detroit Lions have won. It was a very exciting game last night.
You've had an exciting season.
This has been a good week to enjoy football if you're from the state of Michigan.
Well,
or if you just like truth, justice, and the American way.
And on the heels of the Michigan victory.
Yeah, Michigan Wolverines and the Detroit Lions is very exciting. And what a scene yesterday in Detroit at Ford Field. See, now, as a Detroit Lions fan, but also as an adopted Washington Redskins / Commanders, I always want to call them Commandos, Commanders fan, something wonderful happened yesterday. Not only did the Lions win, but the Cowboys weren't. They just weren't beaten. They were humiliated. They were destroyed. It was a public spectacle. They were down 20-0 in the first half, almost the first quarter, I think it was. They got just destroyed by Green Bay at home in Dallas. It was hilarious. It was delightful. And that serves three purposes. First of all, I mean, just if you love America, you love to see the Cowboys lose, number one. Number two, if you're from this area and you like the Redskins / Commandies, you're really happy because they're the hated rivals. But back to me, which is really all that matters. As a Detroit fan, Dallas losing means Detroit's next playoff game will also be a home game. Detroit is now the second seeded team in the NFC behind the San Francisco 49ers.
Wow.
So next week it'll be the San Francisco 49ers playing host to the Green Bay Packers because they just beat Dallas. And it'll be the Detroit Lions playing host to either the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or the Philadelphia Eagles. They play tonight. This is very exciting to be a Detroit fan right now.
A quick question. Are you allowed to watch football?
Thank you. So you remember the Exodus 90 abstinence sort of He-Man Lent, somebody referred to it as the other day. He-Man Lent. So I'm not allowed to watch television. However, Sunday is a feast day, as you know. Every Sunday we vote on one thing to relax of all the list of things that we're.
Goodness.
And we all, because there's a lot of football fans in our fraternity. There's an Eagles fan, there's a Ravens fan, there's me, a Lions fan. And we all voted to relinquish TV. But although I don't know what I'm going to do next week if the Detroit game, I think the Detroit game's on Sunday. I hope. We'll see. I don't know. But it is. All right. So maybe we'll vote for TV again next week. Thank you for asking, though, because that's.
Yeah. So
but you weren't asking because you care. You were asking because you wanted to trap me. You wanted to say, aha! You weren't supposed to watch television.
You got it. So you can't have the queso and the beer with the football.
I can't drink booze. We chose, and I can't take a hot shower.
Ugh.
And I can't have dessert, but I could watch my Lions win for the first time since 1991. By the way, that year, 91, that win was against the Cowboys. Troy Aikman's rookie year, his second year, I think, in the league. And then they went on to the second round and lost to the Redskins.
Wow.
So it's all come full circle. It's 5:15, WMAL traffic and weather. Every 10 minutes, first on the fives, no more football talk. It gets tedious. Jamie Witten's in the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center.
1939.
WMAL, making sense of the vote because elections have consequences. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
Julie Gunlock, you know Fani Willis. Fani Willis sounds like a made-up name, right? Fani Willis. Fani Willis sounds
Crazy,
like it sounds like a character from like Guys and Dolls or something. Or some, Who's your mall there, Bugsy? Oh, it's Fani Willis. Fani Willis is the district attorney for Fulton County, Georgia, and her her claim to fame is not cleaning up the streets of Fulton County and the city of Atlanta. It's not putting away mass murderers or drug addicts or armed criminals. No. Like many major American cities, Atlanta is plagued with violent crime. Fani Willis, the district attorney there, done nothing about that. No, her claim to fame is that she brought criminal charges against Donald Trump and multiple members of the Trump legal defense team during the 2020 presidential election recount, fallout, contested election process. She, of course, as we told you last week on the program, is now accused of putting her lover on the county payroll as a special investigator and prosecutor for this case. And she finally broke her silence about that scandal. She went to a black church. She went to the AME church in Atlanta, and I want you to listen. This is cut one, please, Michael. This is District Attorney Fani Willis explaining this entire thing so everyone understands exactly what's at play here with this scandal, with this corruption behind her prosecution.
All the glory I receive, it's His grace, not a perfect me. We are at a time in history, people. Hear me on this. We are at a time in history when you can no longer sit back and just let other folks do it. You cannot expect black women to be perfect and save the world. The Lord is completing us. We are not perfect.
Yeah, that's enough.
We need
that's
your
enough.
prayers.
So, District Attorney Fani Willis, how do you explain the fact that you're accused of scandalous behavior and corrupt behavior by putting your lover, a married man, on the payroll and taking extravagant vacations, all on taxpayer dollars, while you prosecute Donald Trump? You cannot expect a black woman to be perfect.
You cannot expect black women to be perfect and save the world.
There you go. I mean, what more do you need?
How dare I ask her to be professional and act ethically and professionally? Yes,
Yeah.
That's demanding perfection.
Right. Can't have that. Also, by the way, at the AME Church in Atlanta, where she delivered her speech, she went on to explain the basis behind the charges. You'll be shocked. Apparently, it's all about racism.
Of course.
Yes. And she kept invoking the Almighty.
God, you did not tell me that people would call me the N-word more than they call me Fani. You did not tell me as a woman of color, it would not matter what I did. My motive, my talent, my ability, and my character would be constantly attacked. You did not tell me that the people would think they required of me perfection and flawless. God, why would you send this imperfect and very flawed woman to that position?
I guess the bottom line here on Martin Luther King Day is that we should be judging Fani Willis on the color of her skin and certainly not the content of her character. I love it when lessons are learned. Oh, wait a minute. It's supposed to be the opposite, right? I always forget the lesson of Martin Luther King Day. We'll get to it later.
It really is unbelievable that she does this in a church.
It would only be unbelievable if it were the first time we saw it.
Yeah, true.
But this happens again and again and again and again, and it's Democrats. It's always that. Let's play the video of the conservative Christian Republican who gets political at the pulpit when he goes to his church. Oh, that's right. We don't have that.
Now,
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
Good Monday morning and happy Martin Luther King Day to you. It's a blustery, yes, snowy day. And so I'm glad you're sharing it with us. It's O'Connor and Company with Larry O'Connor and Julie Gunlock. Julie, look at our lineup here today. You wouldn't know it's a federal holiday by the way we go about our business, my friend. 6:35, our friend Dr. Jennifer London, a historian. She's just co-authored a book called Profiles in Character, and it features Dr. Martin Luther King. At 7:05, Joseph DeGeneva will join us. 7:35, our man in Iowa, Brian Wilson. That's right, it's Iowa Caucus Day sneaking up on us. It's the final countdown for Iowans, and we'll see who will emerge as the Republican choice. Brian Wilson will join us to give us his report. And then at 8:35, Dr. Marty McCary, Johns Hopkins University. So what's the latest now with regard to with President Trump and the legal wrangling behind the man? You know, he's facing criminal charges, as everyone knows, across multiple jurisdictions. All of those are being either adjudicated in the courtroom itself or in the appeal. I guess that's also a courtroom through appeals and various concerns. He's also facing being removed from the ballot because the Democrats are so pro-democracy. We must save democracy by ruining democracy.
That's right.
Basically, we have to save the village by burning it down, sort of thing. But now there's this NBC News story, which, frankly, sort of, if I may say, trumps the rest of them, because it has little to do with Donald Trump and criminal concerns that he might be facing from corrupt prosecutors and the corrupt judicial system. It has to do with what is euphemistically referred to as the deep state. In this case, specifically the deep state at the Pentagon and within the military-industrial complex. Look at the headline from NBC News. Fears grow that Trump will use the military in dictatorial ways if he returns to the White House. Now, that right there, of course, is NBC News. And if this is all leaks from inside the Pentagon and military, that right there is election interference. Illegal anonymous leaks to the media if you're in the military, that's against the law. And you're leaking information that is meant to sway and persuade voters to hate Trump or be afraid of Trump, that he'll use the military in dictatorial ways. Let me just tell you that the military will never do anything illegal because the chain of command and officers are set up in such a way that these are gentlemen and proper, and they're trained to not follow illegal orders. So anything that a president orders them to do, if it is illegal
or unconstitutional, will be
defied. It's their responsibility as officers. That's why the insanity of Vindman being a whistleblower against Trump in the National Security Council over his phone call. He didn't do anything illegal there. So Vindman should have, followed the chain of command and not, anonymously leaked and called pencil neck over there in the House of Representatives to reveal this information. That was the problem, was Vindman in that case, not Trump. But get this even further, because the headline, fears grow that Trump will use the military in dictatorial ways if he returns to the White House. That's one thing. Then when you bury...
that headline alone, Larry, not there's a group of Democrats looking to, plan a coup, right? It's that, no, Trump is the problem here, and there's Democrats that are saving the world from his dictatorial ways. Go on. I just wanted to take a pause on that headline.
But then NBC News, in fleshing out their article, this is how they describe the article on their tweet. A number of public interest groups and lawmakers nervous about former President Trump's potential return to power is quietly devising plans to foil any effort on his part to pressure the U.S. military to carry out his political agenda. In other words, they're basically already planning their treason.
That's right.
That's exactly what this article says.
They're putting the plans in place.
Donald Trump is sparking fears among those who understand the inner workings of the Pentagon that he would convert the nonpartisan U.S. military into the muscular arm of his political agenda. By the way, where is that even freaking coming from? The man was president for 4 years. He never even came close to doing anything like that.
Yeah. In fact, he shut things down like the Democrats wanted him to do. He didn't try to circumvent the system.
Bracing for Trump's potential return, a loose-knit network of public interest groups and lawmakers quietly devising plans to try to foil efforts to expand presidential power. Quote, "We're already starting to put together a team to think through the most damaging types of things that he might do so that we're ready to bring lawsuits if we have to," says Mary McCord, executive director of the Institution for Constitutional Advocacy and Protection at Georgetown Law. This is exactly what they did. Now, last time around, they also added to the mix an illegal, trumped-up investigation into election interference and Russian collusion and all that jazz. But they're already laying the groundwork to hamstring and countervene in what Trump's agenda might be should he win the next election, which tells you just how terrified they are that, Republican vote. I just want to reiterate this over and over again as you see stories like this, because you'll hear it all the time on MSNBC and in the Washington Post, all the fears over Trump regaining power, fears over Trump getting back in the White House. Let's just be clear. Connect the dots here, boys and girls. The only way Trump gets back in the White House is if you vote for him. So when they say they're terrified of Trump, when there are fears over what Trump might do, what they're saying is they're afraid of you voting the way they don't want you to vote. They're afraid of you and your vote. They're afraid of the American people, and they're trying to circumvent the American people in the military.
And don't forget, this is after the Democrats on Trump's first day said, we're going for impeachment.
Yeah.
We're going for impeachment. This is after Hillary created the Russian collusion hoax.
Yeah.
And we all know.
Yeah.
We know everything was a lie. The dossier, everything was a lie. And no one's apologized. And it just tells you so much that now they're planning their next coup.
No, they don't apologize. They're celebrated and they're rewarded if you look at the Pulitzer Prize Committee. By the way, speaking of using the military for your own political purposes and circumventing the Constitution, Democrats in Congress are very upset at Joe Biden for the airstrikes he ordered against Yemen. They say that it's a violation of the Constitution. Where are all the lawsuits? Where's the Pentagon leaking to the Washington Post? Where's the, I'm sorry, how did we euphemistically put it? Where's the loose-knit network of public interest groups and lawmakers quietly devising plans to try to foil any efforts to expand Biden's presidential powers? It's 5:40. Speaking of presidents circumventing their legal authority and undermining our nation and the Constitution, the border crisis continues unabated, Julie Gunlock. But Joe Biden appeared out of his hibernation this week. He wasn't seen pretty much all week long. He didn't have anything on his schedule. He did appear on the South Lawn and spoke with reporters briefly. There's video of it. And by the way, he looks refreshed. His face looks like he's got fewer wrinkles or something. It's weird. Have you noticed that his face, he looks a little altered, looks a little younger?
Yeah, and I don't know how I know this, but they can do a lot with fillers and Botox.
Oh, is that right?
There's a lot of non-invasive. Not that I would know. I mean,
right. Yeah, sure.
Not that I've at all looked into this constantly.
Fillers and Botox, and generally speaking, though, when you get fillers and Botox, you're out of commission for a few days.
Oh no.
Oh, really?
It's not. I mean, again, not that I've looked into this. I mean, you might have some redness at the injection spot. I mean, again,
right.
I don't know anything about this.
Mm-hmm.
But
interesting.
It's possible.
Well, he does look good, real fresh, real young. Lost a few years there. Anyway, he was asked by reporters about the border crisis. And good news, everybody, there is no border crisis. Here, listen.
Mr. President, would you call the situation on the southern border a crisis? No, but I wish they would react. I've been pushing them, my Republican colleagues, since I got in office. I think we have to make major changes in the border. I've been pushing them.
Yeah, it's not a crisis, but I've been pushing Republicans to act. I've been doing it since day one. We got a major change on our immigration. You know what's interesting? Because they keep saying this. This is why we need comprehensive immigration reform. The only way we can do this is for Republicans start doing something. You know what reporters never asked Joe Biden? Can you tell us exactly what you want?
Yeah.
They keep saying comprehensive immigration reform. No, tell us what you want. How would you keep saying Republicans need to work with me? What do you want Republicans to do specifically? Not just pass your reforms. Tell us specifically what you want. that will somehow, what is your plan to stop this? Because whenever they're asked what's your plan to fix the border problem, their response is always, we need Republicans to work with us. No. Imagine you could write the bill yourself right now. Tell us what your plan is. And of course, they won't tell you that because their plan is amnesty.
Well, the thing that Republicans also need to do is focus not just on what's going on at the border right now, which is horrifying, but they need to focus on what has already happened, what that's going to cost the American taxpayer. There's a story out this weekend. Department of Veteran Affairs filed 161,000 medical claims for illegals in 1 year that came to a total of $94 million for the American taxpayer. So, I think there's this idea of like, well, let's just stop the flow over the border and everything will be fine. No, they're here. And we've got a lot of gotaways. We've got a lot of questionable people coming over. And we now have to take care of these people at a cost to the American taxpayer.
Yeah, ICE contracted the VA's Austin Financial Services Center in Texas to provide reimbursements and process reimbursement claims to providers who offer medical services for detained illegals across the border there, which, it's just basically the VA is being used as a processing center for these payments. The problem is, how efficiently do they process payments for actual veterans of the military?
Right, exactly.
People wait for months to get reimbursements or to get medical care. But meanwhile, people who are here illegally, they're utilizing the services and the brain power and the processing centers for the VA to handle them instead of what it was designed for. Our veterans in the military. It's despicable and it's disgusting. But, Oh, and meanwhile, the state of Texas is actually trying to protect the border. Greg Abbott and the Texas National Guard, they've been trying to actually intervene and keep the border protected. And the Biden administration is demanding that they stop immediately because, we need to keep people coming across the border illegally. It's 5:50.